Good day and welcome back to the Vitality Project. I'm Dr. Bob. I really appreciate you joining me. Thank you. In a recent online event, it was a Facebook Live event, I joined with my very dear friend, and she's been a longtime contributor here at your Vitality Project. I joined with Angela McLeod. I hope you got a chance to see that video. And if you haven't, please be sure to check it out. It's on Facebook as well as YouTube. Angela and I discussed together her reflections on a recent exercise that we did that was on building what we called real self-esteem. And it was Angela's reflections that were really striking to me. And I want to share those with you. She drew attention to a possible slippery slope which may follow if we're not careful on our giving a little bit too much importance around self-esteem. If we assign too much importance to our always needing to succeed to feel good about ourselves. Angela's point was not that there's anything wrong about aiming for success, far from it. She has high standards, and I do too. But rather, we must also allow for our humanness, which means that sometimes we stumble, sometimes it's awkward, sometimes we make errors, sometimes we simply fail. And Angela was acknowledging or really emphasizing that we need to be willing and able to approach our mistakes with grace if we're going to build self-esteem, because we don't always succeed. And so to feel genuinely good about ourselves may have as much to do with how we approach those times that we don't reach our goals as it does with the times where we succeed in reaching our goals. And so that's what I want to talk about here today. I want to give you an exercise. I'm hoping it will stimulate some interest for you as we examine a little bit more deeply the things that we get attached to, both in terms of positive qualities within ourselves, as well as what I think of as the shadow, things that we're less likely to acknowledge, like mistakes or failures. So let's make what we're going to call a who am I map. Who am I? I want you to take a blank piece of paper right at the top, who am I map. Draw a big circle in the middle of the page. And inside that circle, what I'd like you to consider doing is writing down a half a dozen or so qualities that you think best describe you. They best represent you. These, let's say 6 qualities. Once you've done that, now what I'd like you to do is go outside the circle and across from each one of those qualities, write its opposite, write the opposite of its quality. And in fact, draw a line between what you wrote inside the circle, the quality that you feel like represents you. Draw a line connecting it to the item outside the circle that is the flip side, the opposite of that inner circle quality. Let me give you an example. It may help. If you wrote, for example, if I am kind-hearted, if you wrote that on the inside of the circle, good for you. That's great. You might want to connect it then to its opposite. And just for the sake of this exercise, why don't we say the opposite of being kind-hearted would be to be mean-spirited. So you'd write, I am mean-spirited outside the circle and simply draw a line and do that for each of the 6 items that you identified initially inside the circle. Okay, that's the first part of the exercise. And next, what I want you to do is, as you're doing that, I'd like you to review how you feel about each item as you write it down. The items on the inside, those qualities that you feel like really represent you, maybe in a positive light, and those qualities that are the opposite on the outside that either don't feel like they represent you or have a negative association for you. Just notice how you feel about each one of those as you write it out. Notice, for example, any body tension that you have around, especially the opposite of you items. It's very possible that they'll evoke some kind of body response. It could be you'll have a negative emotional reaction, and it may be subtle, so you'll have to pay close attention. Okay, I want you to give the exercise a shot, see what you discover, and then please be sure to hang on to this exercise because we're going to be expanding on it the next time that we meet. Okay. I appreciate very much you joining me. Please stay safe, be well, and I'll see you again soon.